I was fascinated by just the aspect of something that wasn't physically there to come to life.
If you're one of the vast majority of fans, like me, that have fallen in love with the Netflix original series, The Stranger Things, then you would agree that some of the CGI and visual effects scenes in the series are just out of this world. That's why today, we're going to be looking into the nitty-gritty of things to find out what this TV series actually looks like behind the scenes and without CGI. But first, a simple reminder on how to enter our brand new giveaway. We will be giving away either an iPhone X Max, the new iPad mini, or a MacBook Pro. It's all your choice. So be sure to leave a like, comment the keyword, subscribe, and turn on notifications to enter the giveaway. It's really that simple. First, let's start scenes involving the Demogorgon. Brought to life by the Duffer Brothers, who created and directed the series, the Demogorgon was the very first monster to be introduced in the Stranger Things. The tall, vicious, faceless monster came from an alternative universe and would feed on almost anything in sight. The monster, whose name was coined from the Dungeons & Dragons character known as the Prince of Demons, isn't actually real the slightest bit. Shocking! It was played by performing artists, choreographers, and experienced actor Mark Steger, who wore a suit just to portray the monster. The monster suit was designed by laser scanning Mark's body. The suit had small stilts, green clothing to cover his hands so they wouldn't be visible in the finished scenes, and it was installed with a lot of animatronics to control his head and arms movement. It took Mark about 30 minutes to fully wear the 30-pound suit. CGI was used to turn Mark's face into shark-like teeth anytime the monster opened its mouth. So those scary teeth you saw in the Demogorgon's mouth were actually Mark's. CGI was also used for the scenes the actor couldn't perform. All in all, with the combination of amazing effects and incredible acting, the monster was very realistic. Thumbs up to the Duffer Brothers. Next, let's check out the scenes of the Demodog. Also in the TV series, scenes of the Demodog involved the use of quite a lot of CGI. The Demodog, just like the name sounds, is the baby version of the Demogorgon. The baby monster, as I referred to it while watching the series, is roughly the size of a large dog. It was able to take down a fully grown human, dig tunnels, and had thick enough skin to resist gunshots. In Season 2 of Stranger Things, Dustin discovered a little salamander-like creature which he adopted as a pet and called it Dart, short for D'Artagnan. While we all know that Dart was trouble from the start, this cute pet later became a vicious man-eating Demodog. Dustin soon realizes that he had been raising a monster and proceeds to warn his friends, which by then was a little bit too late. The Duffer Brother tasked this video effects team, which was led by Paul Graff, to create the 4 stages for the creature. And according to Paul Graff, he said it was basically a tadpole-ish start. The challenge was that the first 2 stages were not supposed to give away that it was a Demogorgon. And also because there is a lot of interaction in the relationship between Dustin and Dart, there was a little bit of challenges to create a creature with no face and eyes to still be emotional and have an emotional connection. Dart's cute factor is largely a result of animation and the visual effect company tasked with its motion design. Even the scary noise made by the baby monster was actually a human gargling water. Can you believe that? Next is the alternate universe, the Upside Down. In the very first season of The Stranger Things, scenes involving the Upside Down, a mysterious alternative dimension which was connected to a lab in the small town of Hawkins, which brought a lot of calamities, was made by scanning the actual set and reconstructing it with a 3D model, within which they recreated the camera's movements. According to Paul Graff, he said, "We're looking at it as a parallel universe. Basically, you have 2 parallel worlds, and then you can put things into the computer-generated world, and it's just going to be in line with the parallel world." The visual effect team had to basically transform a real set into an alternative dimension. So much work had to go into this transformation, one of which was the spores. If you've seen the series, then you must have asked yourself what those floaty white flakes were. The answer to that is spores, and not plant spores, but visually constructed CGI spores. Although they initially tried to use normal plant spores, it didn't exactly work out very well. According to Paul Graff, he said the Duffer Bros are actually really picky about the spores. "We tried to get practical spores, but they would only work under special circumstances. So sometimes you could get practical spores to work, and sometimes you couldn't." The kids were super excited about them. A whole day with these flakes flying around. So I could say 90% of the spores you see in the show are digital spores, maybe even 98%. Another major transformation was the tunnels. The tunnel system that runs deep beneath the town of Hawkins, as you all would know, were in fact not actual tunnels, but a creature that took the form of a series of tunnels. According to Christina Graff, who led the visual effects team on the show with Paul Graff, she said the tunnels were designed like a cross bridge between production design and visual effects. so the tunnels were basically non-existent. The visual effects team of the show certainly took filming to the next level here. And the final transformation was the vines. One of the outgrowths from the tunnel was a collection of vines that protected the entrance to the Upside Down. In one of the scenes, Jim Hopper was attempting to dig out away from the tunnels. The vines prevented and entangled him up. Well, Jim Hopper wasn't actually entangled by any vines. They were just another CGI deployed by the effects team to give the Upside Down its scary demeanor. Next, let's take a look at Eleven's scenes. The character 11 is one of the most loved in the series. With her telekinetic powers, she could do almost anything. In some of the earlier scenes in the series, 11 uses her powers to travel into the Void, the dimension that connects the real world and the Upside Down. The Void is like another world on its own, which 11 can travel in and out of freely. But according to cinematographer Lachlan Milne, he said it's all on a soundstage. There is a bit of visual effect cleanup work. The Void was created using a small, square pool of 3-inch deep water, then draped black around the side of it. The light was installed just above the pool of water and shot with a telescope and crane to avoid causing ripples on the water, which would affect the filming. The biggest thing is to try and keep the light off it, because it's easy enough to let the blacks into the gray. If there happens to be a little bit of light that bleeds through the background, it ruins what should be black into a mid-gray. The real key is to keep as much light off the background as you can, Milne added. So basically, the Void dimension was just a pool of water covered with a dark background. Next, we look at 11's bald head. In the earlier episodes of Season 1, 11 was spotted with a shaved head, which started to grow into curly short hair by Season 2. However, some particular scenes in Season 2 needed flashbacks to fill the viewers in on what happened in the season before. The production team soon realized they needed to recreate 11's old haircut. Paul Graff said, "Nobody felt like it was a good idea to cut her hair off again, especially since 11's hair would need to continue to grow out for the next season. We experimented with a wig, but the wig added too much volume to her hair. Because you have to get hair, and then you have to have a base, and then a cap, and then a wig, everybody felt it was better to go fully digital with the hair. In the end, we had to recreate her look with the same hair she had in Season 1. The digital approach was definitely the right call by the team, because shaving 11's hair all over again would have been a little too much." Next, we have Callies Illusions. In one of the episodes of Season 2, 11 is seen to venture out of Hawkins in search of her somewhat long-lost sister Callie, who is also a test subject just like her, and can conjure illusions into the minds of people around her. Paul Graff explained her scenes. She needs to work with strong images and impressive images because they can't be probed. They're not really physical. So when Callie summons a wall to protect 11 and her friends, the team knew they needed something impressive. When she summoned a butterfly, they also knew they wanted something distinctive. Though the Duffer Bros weren't always sold on making a bioluminescent butterfly. We had a weight on a fishing rod that was there so the actors would know where to look. Then we erased that digitally, put a butterfly in, and we gave the bioluminescent butterfly one more shot, and the Duffers loved it. All of Callies' illusion was 10% of her making funny faces and 90% CGI. Next is the Season 2 finale Showdown. Another scene in the TV series that was shot with the use of a soundstage was 11's battle with a shadow monster. The rift that divided the Upside Down from Hawkins was added by the use of CGI. We knew that the rift cavern was going to be something like 150 feet, 200 feet tall, and like 70 feet in diameter. The only thing that we built was the half bottom of the cavern. Everything else is pretty much a full CGI environment, Paul Graff said. Apart from the visual effect, a lot of lighting effect went into making the scene. As the monster got aggravated, the rift slowly glowed red, while 11 shot white lights from her hands towards the monster. The lighting changes between it being the red glow that becomes more intense as the monster aggravates to the white light of the rift actually closing, Paul Graff added. The scene was supposed to depict a battle between two foes, and with the amount of visual and lighting effect that went into producing the scene, it certainly did just that. Lastly, we have the Mind Flayer. The big bad monster of Stranger Things series Season 3 was the Mind Flayer, a 22-foot-tall, dinosaur-like monster that was inspired by the 1982 film The Thing. In the scene that ended the series, the Battle of Star Court, as it was referred to, we saw the Mind Flayer battle the monster led by 11. The man in charge of making the monster come to life was none other than Paul Graff. According to him, Chapter 8 was like an impossibility. Like literally an impossibility. Generally, the difficulty level in Season 3 is a little higher than it was in Season 2. It's no surprise that he would say this, as the Season 3 finale required 2,500 visual shots to create. Well, the 2,500 visual shots weren't actually the most surprising thing about the scene. The Mind Flayer was played by, wait for it, a beach ball on the end of a stick and a stuntman in a red suit with a huge helmet on his head. Now that's impressive. With the number of visual effects that went into producing this series, it's no surprise that millions of people have taken their time to binge watch it and also nominate it for numerous awards. Kudos to Paul Graff and the rest of the visual effects team. They did a fantastic job. And with that, we wrap up the video. Thanks for watching.